All right, let me get my thumb guard back on. I'm gonna switch to a smaller knife. I've got a couple smaller knives I'm gonna have out here. I've got a smaller version of that pinewood forging knife that I was using, and I've got one of the Helvy knives. These are just good knives. I really enjoy using them. I'm not here to sell you knives. I'm not going to tell you which knife to buy. You should buy whichever one you want to, but I can tell you which ones I really enjoy. I enjoy the Drake knives. I've never had a bad Drake knife. I enjoy the Helvies. I've never had a bad Helvy knife or known anybody that did. I enjoy these ones from Dale Stubbs at Pinewood Forge. They are very heavy duty, and they'll do a lot of good carving. We're almost down to the final details. I'm gonna switch away from working on this goatee anymore. We just about done all we can to that goatee to make it look good. What we have left is the nose and the eye sockets and a few other things other than that. I'll clean that mouth up. Well, let's go ahead and clean that mouth up. I already carved it in, so what we're gonna do is make another cut right down in that same spot where we made the original cut. And we're just going to trim that up because I did that fairly fast on the last and left a lot of little fuzzies in there, and I don't like that. I like to carve as clean as I can. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but I like to carve as clean as I can. I see one of my friends or one of my students carving, and they're leaving all these fuzzies everywhere, and I want to fix it for them, but I think there's just amount of learning that has to be done. One of my favorite sayings to use in class is a saying by Mark Twain, and it's appropriate for now and forever, that sometimes you just have to learn a lesson by doing it. And his saying was, a man carrying a cat by the tail learns a lesson. It can learn that lesson no other way. So if you've ever carried a cat by the tail, and I've had my fair share of that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can't learn that lesson any other way, because the cat's going to teach you that's not what you're supposed to be doing. So sometimes when you're learning something, you just have to go through it. You just have to learn. You have to make that mistake. You have to do that, because sometimes we humans, we don't listen to our elders. We don't listen to those who know better than we do. I just cut that mouth off, so let's make it better, because I did not like the way it was working. So anyway, sometimes we humans are dumb enough not to listen, and dumb enough not to pay attention to those that know better. And so there's sometimes we just have to learn that lesson. We have to go through that fire. You have to walk through that. You have to, what is that thing that iron workers talk about, metal workers? You've got to put through that metal, M-E-T-T-L-E. You just have to go through that, and they're just things you have to learn that you can't learn from a book. You can't learn from somebody telling you. You have to learn that lesson the hard way. Too many of our kids nowadays, they want things the easy way, and they don't want to put in the hard work. Some kid I had the other day in class, he told me he was going to be rich before he was 20 years old, and I hope he is. But when you don't do your work and learn those life lessons, you may still be rich at 20, but it's going to be a little bit harder to get there. All right. We're going to come back and work on his mouth a little bit later. I keep undercutting and I'm losing part of that wood. I don't know what it is about that. But we'll come back and work on that in just a little bit. What I want to do is show you a thing that I use. That nose is not perfect, but I'm going to make it about as perfect as I can. So I'm going to take a gouge like this. I'm going to go straight in on the side of the nose. Can you see what I did? You can see how I got that roundedness to the nares or the nostrils. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Make sure these match, because otherwise you have the devil of a time getting them to match. So I've done that to both sides. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sharp knife and I'm just going to trim around it, because I want to make those stick out. I want to make those nares stick out so I can, you see that? Do it the same way to both sides. This is going to help me outline the nose a little bit better too. I'm going to come back to it. But it just made the nose a little rounder. I'm going to come down on the sides of it and take off that chip there. And I come out here and I take off that chip there. And then around that end of that nose. By golly, that's a pretty good looking nose. Okay. What we're going to do is take a smaller gouge like this one. And I just want to clean up the side of that nose. So I'm going up one side, going up like this, and then I'm going to come down to it at the corner. Where those two cuts meet should be where the bottom, that tear duct is going to be. That's the deepest part of the eye. Do the same thing over here. And all we're doing is creating the inside corner of that eye socket, the deepest part of the eye, and then bringing the eyebrow down to it. And then I'm going to take my knife and just right up the side of the nose, just trim a little bit off to make them match, because it looks like one side's a little bit. And so now we've got the eye socket set in, ready to go. I'm going to trim that mouth up a little bit. Trying to be real careful not to take off any more wood than I want. Fix my mistake I made on that one earlier. One of the things you'll learn as you carve more is you'll find out that there's very little you can't fix. Now, yeah, you can't fix bad wood, but there's very little of the mistakes you make that you can't fix. For instance, on this guy, I didn't like his mouth, so what we're going to do is slant it upwards. We're going to make his mouth slant upwards a little bit more. And that'll drop this lip down a little bit more. And we can drop in that little droop at the bottom of the mouth as well. See how we got him up here? Looks like he's dipping his lip. Let me take a little bit more out of that hole. Make it look like he's kind of not really wanting to snarl, but he's got something he wants to say to you. He's telling you, America, it's time to shape up. I need you. I want you. Help out. All right. I'll stop there. I might get political if I start talking about America anymore. We don't need me getting political. That's not what you're tuning in for. All right, I'm going to go around and look at some places that just need a little bit of cleanup. Stray marks, stray cuts. I encourage you to do that along the way. Sometimes you can take care of those in the context of what you're doing. And other times you just need a special moment to take care of some of those little fuzzies or little mistakes that need to be made. A little fuzzy right there. We'll just take care of him. Carve him up here. Cut that off. Sometimes that's all it takes. All right, let's do that other ear like we did this one over here. So again, we're going to start right here at the top of it. Come down. I'm going to give it a little bit more deeper cut. See that? We'll cut that off. Trim it there a little bit more in the corner. Trim it down here at the bottom. And give it a little bit of a profile. Don't need much. And make sure the bottom's not squared off. So those ears kind of almost match. All right. Let's clean up that nose a little bit. We still got some cut marks and draw marks on there. We'll clean those off. Now, here's a question for you. Do you prefer nostrils or not? On a carving this small, it's not necessary. We're going to go ahead and put them in there. I'm going to put in my marks. I want my symmetry line going right down there, and then right there on the other side, each side of that nostril, we'll put in one of each. I'll take a gouge like this, and I'm just going to go straight in, making sure I don't cut off that line. See that nostril? We'll do the same thing on the other side. Make sure I don't cut off the outside line. And we got two nostrils. I'll deepen them with a little one, and I'll just go straight in. You can do that with a knife if you prefer. Sometimes it'll want to cut out on you. But now he's got nostrils. We'll trim off those marks that we drew on there. All right, about dropped it. There we go. All right, we'll come back here in a few more minutes and we'll see how much more we can get done on him. I'll talk to you then.